Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of my podcast. Today's podcast is entitled The Formula. And as usual, I will start this podcast off with a quote. Life is a habit, or rather, life is a succession of habits. And that's a quote by Samuel Beckett. So I was conducting some research on the internet, just looking for videos that I could, gain some more perspective or a deeper understanding of just some of the different aspects of life and things that maybe I understand and things I've yet to even comprehend or maybe come into my understanding of life and the journey that I'm going through. And I encountered a video that was very informative. Um, I've attached the video in the show notes to this podcast. And as usual, this podcast is just like a tidbit of the video. It's not the video in full, and it's not going to cover all that the speaker had to cover, because this topic that he covered is something that we've covered in the podcast before in previous episodes, but he's gone so much more deep into the podcast. Like, I was taking notes while I was watching the video, and I took about 4 pages of notes just on the stuff that he was saying, rewinding and pausing and playing the video multiple times. It's a very good video. I would encourage you to watch it. At the end of my podcast, again, is the link. And my effort with this podcast is just to share with you some of the tidbits of the episode. And again, a lot of this stuff we've already covered in previous episodes. Like I said, anything, like if you look at most of the motivational speakers or people that are out there speaking for, life development, life coaching stuff, they're really not telling you anything you don't know. We're just kind of reinforcing the obvious. We're just kind of putting out there stuff for you to think, or maybe stuff that shifts the way you view things or your perspective on life. And that's my mission. I'm just trying to change your perspective. I'm not trying to tell you how to do anything or how to live your life. I'm just trying to give you a different way to look at things. So let's get started. Many people think that they lack motivation, but what they truly lack is clarity. And we've discussed this. Clarity is basically waking up intentionally. Instead of letting your alarm clock wake you up every day, you wake up with a purpose. Like, today I'm going to get this accomplished. Today I'm going to do this. Or when I get out of bed, I have an approach that I'm going to take to life. Like, I'm going to take a shower, I'm going to read a book, I'm going to get the kids ready for school, and I'm going to, you have a mission in the morning. You're not just getting up to get up or getting up because your alarm clock tells you to get up. You actually wake up in the morning with a mission in mind, with a purpose to your life, and that clarity helps you to live an intentional life, or a life on your own terms. If you could change your habits, you could change your life. And again, we've talked about this as well. It's all about the power of compounding. You look at your life, you evaluate your life, you see what you want to do and where you're at. And then you can do some research, listen to podcasts, motivational speakers, YouTube videos, and you see the habits that the people are exhibiting that are doing what you want to do. So what you do is you install those habits into your life, and then over a period of time, with consistent effort and intentional effort, you start to apply the concept of compounding to your life. And then in essence, you're building yourself up, building your life up into the life that you want to have, the life that you want to obtain, and creating the person that you need to be in order to live and fulfill that life. Small habits and little choices are transforming every day. Again, this is another, hit on consistency, because consistency really is the key. I like to tie everything into things that we talked about, things that we already discussed, things that a lot of us can relate to. Working out, you're not going to get stronger, you're not going to get faster, you're not going to get more agile, you're not going to get more flexible if you just work out or do that type of training, once every couple of days, or once every couple of weeks, or once every couple of months. It's something that you got to be consistent about. You got to work out, 5 days a week, 7 days a week, 4 days a week, like whatever, but you got to be on it. And you have to do that for weeks at a time before you start to see, those little cuts in your muscles, the striations and stuff like that, or you're able to touch your toes, or run faster, or jump laterally faster. There's millions of different ways that you can train, but that's something that we can all relate to. And that's one of the greatest examples of, the power of compounding, because like regardless how you feel, you got to get up every day and go to the gym, put forth that effort if you want to achieve the goal that you want to obtain. Now, if you're not about that life and you just talk about it, the effects of your decisions are very apparent, because somebody could say, yeah, I go to the gym all the time and I do this and I do that, but if they're not eating the right things, if they're not working out hard, if they're not being consistent about it, their body tells on them. A lot of us do things in life where we say we're doing one thing and a lot of it's internal or people can't really see. But for those things that people can see, it's obvious that we're not doing what we need to do. But we need to make it obvious to ourselves, because we're the only one that's going to hold ourselves accountable. You may have a weightlifting partner, you may have a motivational partner that helps you keep track of your goals or to keep on pace, but largely it's about you. What can you do to hold yourself accountable? Make sure you're going to the gym, you're eating right, you're saying no to those donuts or whatever, how strict your diet is. So those small habits that you do or don't do are going to tell on you. The proof is in the pudding. It's going to be apparent either to yourself or to everybody else. So you want to make sure that your actions and your thoughts, your dreams and goals are all in line with one another. Habits are the compound interest of small self-improvement. Good habits make time your ally. Bad habits make time your enemy. So you have to look at it as, like we always talk about, progression. And like I said, good habits make time your ally and bad habits make time your enemy. So if your goal is up here, right, think of it as a track, 100 meters, a straightaway on the tracks. If you are compounding good habits every day, you're getting further and further and further down that track, getting closer to the finish line. But then when you exhibit bad habits or you practice bad habits, it takes away from those steps that you have taken forward toward your goal. So if you take 6 months of good steps toward your goal, but then you take 3 months of bad steps toward your goal or bad steps away from your goal, you're still no closer to accomplishing your goal. And then people in life, including myself, we get stuck in these ruts where we take 7 steps forward and 8 steps back, or 7 steps forward and 7 steps back, or 7 steps forward and 5 steps back. But regardless how many steps forward and back we're taking, we're still not achieving our goal because we're getting stuck in that rut. Our words and our actions aren't aligning. And at the end of the day, it's nobody else's fault but our own. We can't really get mad at nobody else but ourselves, because we can't control outside circumstances. We can't control circumstances outside of ourselves. But on a day-to-day basis, we need to ask ourselves the question, are we taking actions that are aligning with our goals? Are we doing what we need to do to get closer to who we want to be and what we want to accomplish? And you have to be really, honest with yourself and truthful with yourself. And if the answer is no, you have to do a gut check. Why is that? If you truly want your goal, if you truly want whatever purpose you have set for in your life, why do you not deem it necessary enough or prudent enough for you to act on it right now? Why do you feel like you deserve a day off or you deserve a break if you haven't attained your goal yet? And even if you have attained your goal yet, I still will argue that it's not time for a break, because there should be yet another goal on the other side of that you should be aiming to obtain. Because time is constantly moving. Life waits for no one. So if you wait too long and get complacent, you might not never achieve that dream and life may pass you by. I'm going to have a real interesting podcast, a couple of podcasts down the road. Again, I came across another video that was awesome, and it ties in basically to the whole purpose why I created this podcast. So stay tuned, probably about 2 podcasts down the road, maybe 1. And I'll put that special podcast on for you. But back to this podcast. So what are the 4 stages of habit forming? I know we've talked about habits in other podcasts and stuff like that, but in reference to what this gentleman, this speaker was talking about, the 4 stages of habit formation are noticing, wanting, doing, and liking, which is stuff that we've all addressed in one form or another. And the last one, I'm going to kind of go into a little bit more. The first three are self-explanatory: noticing, wanting, doing. But the last one, liking, I kind of feel iffy on that one. But we'll discuss it. You cannot form a habit or take an action if you do not notice something. So the first step is noticing. If you don't notice that something is wrong, then you won't know that you need to take the action to fix it. You won't know that there's something wrong, that there's an issue that you need to correct. A lot of people get up and they just kind of live their lives and they wonder, why doesn't my life have purpose? Why am I not doing something meaningful? Well, they're not living their lives intentionally. You haven't identified your why yet. You haven't identified your drive or your passion. You just kind of get out of bed and do what you got to do, which again, I'm not judging anybody for that, because I have done that, and there are times that I still do that. I try to practice a morning routine. I try to do certain things on a daily basis, but sometimes I just get caught in the monotony of life, and I just wake up and do what I got to do. And I'm not proud of that. And, it takes a lot to admit that, but, that's being honest. I'm human too. And saying that I am human is to say that I am imperfect. We're all imperfect. So the first step is noticing that there's a problem, that there's an issue, that there is something that you need to fix or correct. Then you have to want it. If you do not desire it or crave it, you will not take action. So first you notice it. You notice that something is wrong, and then you have to decide that you want to fix it. You have to want to fix that. It has to be an issue that you have identified that is so dire, that is so, off-putting from your goals and your dreams and your purpose, that you have to want to fix it within yourself. Like, somebody else can't want it for you. Some of us have family members that, you see their potential and you grew up with them and you know everything about them and you want the best for them. But no matter how much you want it for them, if they don't want it for themselves, then, it is going to be what it is. I'm sure some of you have had the same experiences I have with those family members that we want the best for. If they do not want it, it's nothing that you can do. It has to be something within yourself, because saying that I want this or I want that is also signing a contract that you're willing to accept what comes along with that. And a lot of that could be hardships, troubles, trials, a lot of dark times. There's also good things that come with it as well, but they're also signing up for, a lot of work, a lot of development that you got to put into yourself, a lot of dedication. So it's not just as simple as saying I want it. That want, or that putting that into the universe, is signing a contract that, hey, no matter what happens, I'm in for the long run. I'm in for the long haul. Then you have to actually do the habit, take the action. So you have to notice it, you have to want it, and then you have to do it. This is where you put, the pedal to the metal. You have to do your research, find out, if there's somebody that is an expert in what you're going through. If there's somebody that that have gone through something similar, that can help you get through what you're going through, that you can relate with. Find people that can help you out. Surround yourself with people that are doing better than you, so that you can absorb all their knowledge and learn how to exist and maneuver in life the way that they do. It's all about taking action instead of just standing back. Like, hey, I know that I want to stop smoking. I notice that that's an issue. It doesn't serve me. I don't lead a healthy life. I want to change this habit because I know that it keeps me from leading a healthy life. It hurts me, it hurts my family, and so on and so forth. So what am I going to do in order to correct this issue, correct this deficiency? I'm going to get on smoking patches. I'm going to try to reduce smoking from whatever number it is to a much, much lower number. You're not going to keep cigarettes in the house. That way the temptation is no longer there. I don't smoke, but I would assume that's kind of the process of elimination that you will go through in reference to dealing with addictions. Now, addiction is a much, much harder, in-depth, and broader subject. And I'm not a counselor or anything like that, so I'm definitely not giving advice on how to battle addiction. But that's just something I was throwing out there, something that a lot of people can relate to. And a diet, if you know that you're overweight. You no longer want to be overweight. You know it doesn't serve you. You're not leading a healthy life. You want to change it because you want to lead a healthy life. You want to live longer. So what can you do? You can keep healthy food in the house. You can stop eating out fast food. You can resist the urge to snack at nighttime or the hours of the night. You can keep unhealthy foods out of your house. Like, there's things that we can do to create a healthy environment around us that'll help prepare us for success or enable us to be successful. And at the end of the day, you have to like it in order to repeat it again. Now, this is the part that I'm kind of iffy on, because when you're going through your journey and when you're dealing with, the trials and tribulations and the hardships that come with accepting this journey, accepting this change, you're not always going to like it. Like, you're not always going to like what you do or what you're doing at that point in time. You may like the journey, and you may like the fact that what you're doing is pushing you closer to your goal, but right there in that moment in time, you may not like it. I'll give you an example. When I was in boot camp, another boot camp story, because that's what I always tie it to. When I was in boot camp, when I first got there, I was not a distance runner. Like, when I would run track, I would tell my coach, nothing bigger than 300. Like, I'm not running a full lap around this track. I was just not a distance runner. I didn't like to run a distance. I did nothing but sprints. So when you get to the Marine Corps, part of your basic physical fitness test is a 3-mile run. And that's just the basic physical fitness, is the 3-mile run. So when you get there, they don't automatically just throw you into the 3 miles. You build up to it. First you run a mile, mile and a half, 2 miles, 2.5. Then you build up to 3 miles. But I knew that doing the running and working out and the workouts and sprints and stuff that we did, I didn't like it. Like, I knew that it was helping me get closer to my goal. It was turning me into a better runner, but I didn't like it. I didn't like the pain and all of that stuff. I love the process, the waking up, getting up early, the grinding and stuff like that. I love the process. I just hated the pain at the time. But then as time goes on and I saw the results and the benefit of the hard work that I was putting in and the effort I was putting in, I started to get into kind of love the process, like the process of running and feeling that pain, knowing that on the end of it, or the end result was that I was going to get stronger. So at first you may not like it. You may be in love with the process, but you may not like it. But then over time, you'll come to like it. You'll come to kind of fall in love with that pain. Like when I work out at the gym, like when I first started working out in middle school, I did not like being sore the next day, or all the things that came with that. But then after a while, I kind of miss that pain. If I don't go to the gym for a day or so, I miss that pain. I miss being sore, knowing that I put in work at the gym. So it's all about perspective again. And if you look at it as something that's going to help you, you'll find more joy in it, as opposed to looking at something that hurts you and isn't beneficial. It's just a shift in consciousness, a shift in perspective. You can increase your odds of success 2 to 3 times just by having a specific plan. Again, this is by living your life intentionally, not just waking up because your alarm clock woke you up and then just kind of going into autopilot. Okay, I need to shower, I got to eat breakfast, I got to do this, I got to do that. Living life intentionally. Like, hey, get up, meditate, read, stretch, work out, take a cold shower, get the girls ready, get the kids ready. I said girls because I have 2 daughters. Get the kids ready, create space for you to kind of maneuver in life instead of having to always be rush. Create space. Wake up early enough so that you can kind of take your time. You can kind of progress from one thing to another instead of having to rush, because when you rush, you can forget things, you can overlook things, you can misplace things, and then that compounds on itself. And how you start your day is setting a picture for how the rest of your day will go. So if you kind of ease into your day and progress through your day as opposed to rush through your day, it'll serve you better. It'll be less stress, less anxiety, less worry, and things will just go a whole lot better. Be the architect of your environment. Make your environment cater to your desires. Make good behaviors easier and bad behaviors harder. Make your environment one that's set up for you to win. Just like how we were talking about with the dieting. If you're trying to lead a happier life, if you're trying to lose weight, if you're trying to be healthier, then make your household a place where you can win by not having those Little Debbie's cakes in your pantry. Because when you have that hour, that minute of weakness, you're going to go into that pantry and you're going to eat that cake, and you're going to wish you hadn't done it because you had done so much up until that point to progress you towards your goal. Now you're kind of set back by eating that Little Debbie cake. So set your environment up for success. If you want to read in the morning, set your alarm clock, and then right by your alarm clock, have your book. If you want to meditate in the morning, have a space set up so that you can meditate. Wake up early enough so that nobody in your household will bother you while you meditate. Create your environment, set up your life in ways that can create victories, early victories in the day, so that you could just chalk that up to a win. That's a W, that's a W, that's a W. And then you could just keep it rolling throughout your day. It's easier to stick to better habits when you are presented with better options. Again, like the pantry. If you feel like snacking and you have Little Debbie cakes in there, you're not giving yourself a good option. As opposed to, having a fridge full of celery, or a fridge full of carrots, or a fridge full of fruit. You know what I'm saying? Give yourself better options instead of kind of backing yourself into a corner when you're in the shopping. I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank right now. When you're in the food store, like Food Lion, Walmart, wherever, and you're going grocery shopping, the grocery store, there we go. It's late. When you're at the grocery store, instead of buying like fatty foods and foods that aren't in line with your goal, set yourself up for early victory and buy healthy foods. Buy lots of fruits, lots of vegetables. Get water instead of carbonated beverages. Get like energy drinks like Gatorade and stuff like that. Not Red Bull and that stuff, because that stuff has a lot of sugar. And there's studies out there that say that it's not good for your heart and stuff like that over time. But you could do more research into it if that's one of your goals. I'm just throwing that out there as an example. But again, set yourself up to win. It's easier to make good choices when you have good options available, because it's going to be easier to make bad choices if you have bad options available. Again, yin and yang, the principle of polarity, everything ties into everything. The more reps, the closer you are to achieving your goals. You got to put the reps in. Again, this is a shot at consistency. The more reps you get at doing the right thing, the easier the right thing becomes. If you go to the gym and you have a 25-pound dumbbell and you're curling that, the first week that you curl it, you may only get 5 reps, and then you're done. Your muscles are sore, they're swollen, you're just done. So then you do that for 2 weeks. And then on the third week, you notice that, you're squeezing out 8 reps. Okay, that's some progress. You put the reps in that tore down and built up that muscle. So now you're stronger. You're more confident because you're like, hey, this was heavy 2 weeks ago. Now it's light. And it's the same thing with things that we do in life. If you're trying to be a more confident person, you need to get more reps at being confident. You can look up the things that you need to do, the things that you need to exhibit to be a confident person, and then do those reps so that you become a more confident person. If you're scared of heights, put yourself in more situations to where you have to face your fears so that you get more reps at doing it, so that when the time comes that you're thrown in to be scared of heights, hey, I've already done this. Willingly, I put myself in this place to win. So then it won't be a shock to your system. It won't be such an overload for your body to be in the midst of this fear, because you've already done it. You've already put yourself here. So you already know what it feels like. You've experienced it, and it's not as bad as what you made up in your mind. And lastly, how I wanted to end this podcast was a quote by Mr. James Clear, and he's the actual speaker who spoke on this video that I'm just giving a summary over, basically. And even this summary doesn't do it justice. There was so much information he covered. It went so in depth, and he did a great job. It was clear, concise, and to the point. And again, I encourage you to click on the hyperlink and view this video in its entirety. But one of the quotes that he said during this presentation was any outcome that you wish to achieve is just a point on the spectrum of your repetitions. So if you're looking at your life right now and you're not where you want to be, you got to ask yourself, how many reps have I put in towards the goal that I want to accomplish? Do I wake up daily and take the steps necessary in order to fulfill my dreams, fulfill my goals? Or am I doing a little here, doing a little there, doing a little here? And then you got to be honest with yourself. Like, this isn't why I'm not where I want to be in life. This is why I'm not accomplishing the goals that I've set forth. Just be honest with yourself. One of the things that I've learned, and it's been really hard for me to kind of practice, is just taking extreme ownership. And we've talked about that in the podcast as well. But just looking at a situation and being like, hey, it's nobody else's fault but my own. I am here right now in this place because of decisions that I have made, both past and present. And knowing that there's nothing I could do about the past, and the only moment I have in time is the present. And how I make decisions and how I maneuver in the present is going to affect the future. So I have to make the right decisions now going forward so that I can have a better future. I won't be in the same predicament as I was in the past. Once you gain knowledge, once you gain wisdom, now you have the burden of the responsibility of applying it appropriately, because you can't say I didn't know, because you do know. You have the wisdom, you have the keys to success. So if you don't apply it, you're cheating yourself and you're cheating the world, because you may have something that the world needs that you can offer the world that they're not benefiting from because you're not giving them 100%. So just a little something to think on. I hope that this message receives you well and you apply it in the space that you see necessary.